Welcome back to another episode of Blue Monkey Forensics. In this video, we're going to be talking about Paladin, which is a bootable forensics Linux distro. In particular, we're going to be using it as a triage tool to perform quick previews of evidence from a target machine. This is very useful if you're on a search and you encounter a number of computers and digital media and you don't want to seize all the media, as some of those may not be relevant to your case. One of the important features of Paladin is its ability to search or triage a computer or device for any data that is of interest without making any changes to the evidence. This feature was developed to assist law enforcement to quickly locate files of interest and determine if they are contraband. This function is very powerful, and we could use it for other types of searches besides looking for contraband. To boot Paladin on a PC, insert the bootable USB into the computer. Then you hold down the appropriate boot key for your computer, which could be F2, F10, F1, escape, etc. Look up the manual for your specific case. And to boot Paladin on an Intel Mac, you can hold down the Alt Option keys. Paladin is not supported on Apple Silicon Macs as far as I know, and Sumuri recommends that you use the Recon ITR solution for Apple Silicon Macs. So here we see the boot menu after we've selected the Paladin boot device. And I'm going to select the default, which is the plain forensics mode. Now that it's completely booted, let's go and click on the main icon we're going to be looking at today, which is the toolbox. And after the app is fully loaded, I get a warning panel alerting me to the fact that the dates and times displayed by Paladin are based on the host system date and time. So make sure you record the displayed date and time and how that compares to a standardized time like your department issued cell phone or the US Naval Observatory standard time at time.gov. And for this video, we're going to focus on this Find tool in the middle of the tool menu here on the left-hand side. The Find tool can perform a keyword search within files. It can search for keywords within a file name, and it can search for MIME categories or from a MIME list. All right, so the first available section here is the Select Previous Find Criteria checkbox. This allows one to use previously saved find criteria. And since we haven't done anything yet, there's nothing here for us to select. We'll come back to this later. All right, let's take a look at this first section called the Search Criteria. And there's a first tab named Keyword. Let's go ahead and select that. And here we see three buttons. The capital P means paste from the clipboard if you have any saved keywords from within that. Since we haven't copied anything to the clipboard yet, so pressing the letter P does nothing. So let's go ahead and click on the plus symbol, which adds a single keyword. So let's go ahead and hit plus, and then you can see that it's highlighted here now on the line. We can type in our first keyword of exoskeleton, and then when we're done, I'm going to hit plus again and type in the second keyword of Whitworth. And then hit plus again, type in whimsical. Hit plus again, type in load config. And then hit plus again for last time and type in blue monkey. All right, so those are the keywords that we have. Now this last button here, the minus, stands for delete keyword. So once you select a certain keyword that you don't want to use, you can go ahead and hit the minus and it's going to delete that keyword. So blue monkey is now gone. All right, let's take a look at the next section here called source. The first tab says device, and if we click into it, we see that we have three partitions that Paladin sees. We have SDA1, which is the system reserve partition for my internal hard drive. SDA2 is the main data partition for my internal hard drive. And SDB is my Paladin boot USB. So let's say you're booted to this target machine here, and then you find a thumb drive next to this computer, right, at your search scene. We can go ahead and plug that thumb drive into the booted system and then have Paladin search that device as well. So let's go ahead and do that. So once I plug in that device, you can see automatically that Paladin will scan for any new devices, and then when it sees it, it'll add it. And so here you see there's a new partition, SDC1, right? That's named Parrot Home. And you can see that it's a SanDisk Cruiser, and the size is about a 4 gig device. All right, so let's say we are interested in that device as well. So let's go ahead and select SDC1 and then SDA2. All right, so this is where we are going to look as our source. The other tab here says directory, and you can select a single or multiple directories to search within. We're going to come back and do this next. The third section in the Find tool is the Output section. So if we look at the pull-down menu here, we only see SDA1 and SDA2, which are the partitions of the internal drive, and we definitely do not want to write to these evidence drives, right? So we don't want to select those. But I'm going to plug in another device as the output. Okay, so once I've done that, I need to hit the refresh icon here. Now we see that the partitions SDC1, SDD1, and SDD2 are seen. SDC2 is from the first thumb drive that we plugged in, which is also an evidence item, so we don't want to write to that. And then SDD2 is the second partition of the last drive we plugged in, and it's designated to be the output device, so I'm going to select that partition. And here we see that that partition does have a name called USB flash drive. All right, so just word of caution, you just got to be careful and make sure you don't choose the wrong device. All right, next thing we got to do is fill in the label box where you can enter a unique name for each search so it can be used again. I'm going to go ahead and type in my case number followed by the word keyword to denote that it was a keyword search versus a file name or MIME search. So I'm going to type in 230115-003, which is my case number, and then followed by dash keyword. All right, and then the last decision to make is whether we want to copy the original data to the destination drive. Otherwise, what it's going to do is just create a link. And all you're going to see is the name of the file, but not the actual content. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, because most of the time we're on the knock and talk, and we want to grab anything that's of interest so that we can use those results to go to a judge and obtain a search warrant. All right, now that we've filled in everything we need to fill in these top 3 sections here, we can go ahead and hit the search button. And I get an error that we need to select a source drive. This is because we did a refresh after plugging in the destination drive, so we have to reselect the source drive. So let's go ahead and reselect SDC1 and SDA2. And let's hit the search button again and watch the status in the task logs and system log windows. All right, and now we see the file manager pop up in a window with the output folder showing. This is good. So what's happening here is that Paladin created a file with the name of the folder, and then they added the .sc extension. And I'm assuming SC stands for search criteria. And if we double click on it to open that file, we can see that the keywords that we had typed in are listed out. And we can also confirm that we did not select any MIME searches or file name searches, just keywords. So we see the 3 folders that Paladin created: file name, keyword, and MIME. Once again, these are the 3 folders where the corresponding output would go depending on which criteria you have selected. And since we only did a keyword, the MIME and file name folders should be empty. So let's go ahead and take a look at the keyword folder. And we see that there are already files here. If you look at the status bar, we can see the number of files that the system has processed. This number can easily go into the millions on a typical hard drive. So it may not be wise to use the time to scan an entire partition. That's why there was the folder option. I'm going to click on the cancel button to stop this process. And then a search result panel pops up letting us know the number of matches for keywords, file name, or MIME types. All right, let's do this again, but this time we're going to select the specific directories as the source. I'm going to re-enter the keywords, This time I'm going to use hexadecimal and load config. And in the source section under the device tab, I'm going to uncheck SDA2 and uncheck SDC1 partitions. And then I'm going to select the directory tab and then hit the add button. This shows me the partitions that Paladin already mounted when it searched them before. And if you don't see any of your partitions here, that means they're not mounted. Well, what you need to do is click on the disk manager menu item over here on the left hand side and then manually mount them. All right, I'm going to go ahead and select the first one, which is my internal hard drive, SDA2. And then I'm going to go down to the recycle bin folder and select that. So now we see this one folder in the source directory tab. Let's add another folder by clicking add again, and then selecting the first device again, and then click on users, then examiner, then downloads, and then choose. Okay, again, you see this reflected here in the directory listing. And now let's add a third folder by clicking add, and then I'm going to select parent home, which is the thumb drive that we found near the computer at this search scene. All right, so now we got our 3 directories that we want to search through. Let's go ahead and choose the output, which is again going to be SDD2. For the label, I'm going to use 230115-0037, which is the case number, and then dash keyword directory. And then for copy original, I would say yes again to copy the files found out to the output drive, and then hit search. So once again, the file manager window pops up for the output folder that we created. We can go ahead and open the .sc file and double check that the keywords the program is searching for. And we confirm that it is hexadecimal and load config that we typed in. And here in the status bar, we can see the file count actually go up. It stays around 200-ish, and then it speeds up and goes up to 3, 4, 5, and 600. So this is much less than the first time when we searched in the whole partition, because we filtered it down to only specific folders. And so we know that limiting the search to specific folders will be faster. And when it's done, the search result box pops up to tell us that there are 2 matches by keyword. And we can jump over to the keyword folder, look at the file, and sure enough, the keyword load config is contained in these files. So that's the searching by keywords via the directory. Now let's take a look at the find function using file names. We'll click on the file name tab, and similar to before, we can paste in a list of names or add them one by one. I'm going to use the file browser to look at a text file that was created elsewhere. I'm going to open up this file named keywords.txt, which contains the file names I'm interested in. And we can see here that the names I have selected are Stark, Adamantium, Ninja, Sniffer, and .sqlite. The rule for this file is that the text file has only 1 keyword per file. And I want all of these, so I hit Ctrl A to select all, and then Ctrl C to copy. Then I'm going to go back to the File tool in Paladin, and then hit the P button to paste from the paste buffer. So now here we see our keywords of the file names in the File Name tab. For source, I will select SDA2 and SDC1. So notice that I'm searching through the entire partition and not just specific directories this time. When we did the keyword search, that was very slow, but we'll see that things are much faster with file name searches. For destination, I will choose SDD2 and then give it a label of 230115-0037 -file name. Say yes to the copy original and then hit search. So while it's running, I'm going to double check the search configuration file to see that we are in fact looking at only file names containing Stark, Adamantium, Ninja, Sniffer, and .sqlite. And you can see from the status bar the speed at which Paladin can go through file names. While it's searching, we can start to look at the results. We see a lot of files that contain the names that we're interested in. And it's actually a little more than I expected. Oh, and it's done. The search result panel tells us there were 162 matches by file name. Let's hop back to the file manager. Like I was saying, these are the files that contain the words in our file name list. I was thinking about getting all the SQLite files, but it looks like the find function also found files like these DLLs here, which contain the name .sqlite. So expect to have more files than you thought you were going to have. So back to the speed, we see that this find technique is much faster than the keyword search, as this one goes through the file listings only. And the keyword find function actually had to read every single file to see its contents. The third type of search is based on the contents of the file, regardless of the file name or extensions. This is useful because sometimes the bad guys will change the names of the files in order to hide them in plain sight. MIME is an acronym for Multipurpose Internet Mail Extensions, and it's used to identify file types in these Paladin searches. You've probably seen this in other forensic tools when they search for file signatures. So common file types are like Word, JPEG, PDF, etc. And you can also specify general categories like just videos and images. All right, so assuming we're on a crimes against children case, we're mainly interested in looking for photos and videos. In the MIME categories tab, I'm going to choose the image and the video categories. Right, so these would basically grab everything that Paladin considers an image and video and copy them out. But those are actually pretty broad categories and will catch a lot of files. So you might want to be a little more specific. And you can go to the MIME list tab, and then you can drill down and look for just specific types of images like JPEG images instead of all images. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck the broad image and video categories. And then I'm going to select the image type of JPEG here. And if you have a specific signature that you're interested in looking for that is not listed, you can go ahead and click on the Custom MIME tab and create your own signatures. For source, I'm going to leave it as SDA2 and SDD1 for those two particular partitions. For the destination, I'm going to choose SDD2. For the label, I'm going to say 230115-0037-MIME, and then copy original. Once again, I'm going to say yes. Once I hit the search button, just like the other types of searches, the file manager window pops up with a newly created output folder. There's the .sc file that we can look at and confirm that we're only looking for JPEG images. So here's something interesting. For some reason, I keep getting Paladin to crash when I use the MIME search, either the category or list. If anyone from Sumuri is watching or anyone else who got this to work, please let me know what I'm doing wrong. But in any case, the point is that you can look for specific types of files. And this is also slow because once again, it has to go in and read the header and perhaps the footer of these files to know what they are. In this demo, I had done one type of search at a time, but you can actually perform them all together if you want. You can have keyword searches and file name searches and MIME searches all at the same time. Paladin is a great tool to use if you want to triage computers and other loose media. You can boot up in a forensic environment, and the graphical user interface is straightforward, and you can use the find tools to search through your evidence based on either keywords or file names or the MIME type. Keyword searches are very useful, but because they look into every single file, it may take a long time if you don't limit the search locations. Plus, it's not a guarantee that the tool will be able to look through all the file types. For example, I don't think it uses optical character recognition to scan within photos or videos. So if you have certain words that are shown in those, this tool will not pick them up, right? You'll actually need to use a full forensic tool to get that functionality. And the other thing that I notice is that it does not seem like the search function will find items within a Word file or spreadsheet or even a PDF. because in my keyword searches, the words that I use were contained within Word documents and Excel spreadsheets and PDFs, and none of those were found in the search. The second type that we looked at, file name searches, are very quick, as the tool just has to go through the file table. The drawback is that you are relying on the file names to contain the keywords of interest, which you may not know. And the last one is the MIME search, which is also very useful, as the search will return the appropriate files even if they have been renamed and the extensions changed. And much like the keyword search, this type of search will look at the contents of every single file in your source. So you may want to limit the scope of the search to certain specific folders instead of partitions. For more information on another Linux distro named Kane, watch these videos here. Make sure you click on the blue monkey to subscribe. Thanks for your time and happy hunting.